times do I have to cover this? How many times do I have to highlight another person who was arrested, who was released on bond, and despite the magic of the ankle monitor, committed the same exact crime while they were out on bond, and then they were released again because there's a woke prosecutor in the county that doesn't want to prosecute anyone for anything? Well, greetings and salutations, loyal viewers of this channel. My name is Sean, and once again, we are going to talk about the abject nonsense that goes on in our criminal justice system. However, this time we're going to shift our focus to Chatham County, Georgia, where the district attorney there is not only the first black female district attorney to ever hold the office, but she of course ran on criminal justice reform. She of course talks about diversity and equity in the criminal justice system, and she of course releases serious violent repeat offenders time and time again and takes no accountability for her damn actions. And by the way, I went down the rabbit hole with this woman. She's also been sued for discrimination. She's also had a bunch of staff members just walk out of her office because, again, they release people over and over again. And unsurprisingly, when you release a repeat offender that has a propensity to commit a certain type of crime, they continue to commit those crimes. So yeah, Chatham County, absolutely terrible job this last election, re-voting for this person so that she could win re-election. And that's what we're going to talk about today. But before we do, instead of thanking my website members, even though I do appreciate you guys, I want to remind you that friend of the channel, Devin Tracy, AIU, his parents lost their family home in the California wildfires. He currently has a GoFundMe in order to support them in this time. If you can donate, if you're a fan of Devin, if you're a fan of me and you want to help, please do. If you can't or don't want to, it's totally fine. But without further ado, let us get into this nonsense.
Our top story tonight, a local man who was arrested on sexual assault charges for the second time just a few weeks ago. This while he was out on bond.
So right off the top, I just want to point out, because most of my critics try to pin me as an evil white racist who just hates black people in particular, that this is an Asian man. And the reason I'm highlighting this story has nothing to do with the fact that he's Asian, but it is because of the fact that it's the same policies regardless of race that allow repeat offenders to be released, and I want changes in those policies. You want to know the secret sauce of how I pick stories? I don't look for the most egregious crime. I don't look for the most heinous crime. I look for crimes that could have been prevented through either a change in policy or replacing a politician. I know, shocking. I want you guys to think about crimes that can be prevented, that can be changed by voting or passing different laws, so that's why I highlight them. Again, that's the secret sauce behind my selection of crimes. But let us hear the nonsense that went on in this case, and then I'll tell you a little bit more about the first black female district attorney of Chatham County who is running on equity and reform.
A man named Taylor Talent is the accused, and since his last arrest in 2023, records indicate he's been wearing an ankle monitor.
Taylor Talent used to work at a now-closed bar on West Broughton Street in Savannah called Vice Lounge. That was before he was arrested for aggravated sodomy and rape in April 2023 for an alleged incident at the bar. Talent was taken to the Chatham County Jail on April 1st of 2023, but police records show he was released on bail with an ankle monitor in May of last year.
So one of the reasons why I have to do deep dives beyond local news coverage is because, honestly, a lot of times, even though they're a reliable entry point, they kind of gloss over the most important information on the stories that I want to cover. And a perfect example of this is the fact that they just wasted your time by telling you that this guy worked at a bar, and that gives the impression, since he's charged with sexual crimes, that maybe he assaulted a drunk woman at said bar. But if you look really closely at the charging documents that they kind of gloss over, you can see that the victim was 10 years old or younger. So the fact that this took place at his job at the bar, not the most relevant piece of information. The fact that this was against a child, and we're talking about a child predator potentially, allegedly, probably a bit more important than whether or not this occurred at his job or at his home. So this is a very serious crime. And again, the additional charges that he would face, which are the same exact crime, are also going to be against a minor, somebody who is underage. This is what this person is accused of. They released him. They put an ankle monitor on him. He allegedly committed the same crime again. And guess what? He was released again 4 days after the second arrest. Let me repeat that. 4 days after the second arrest of the second victim, allegedly, this guy was released yet again on the same ankle monitor, presumably.
Only a few short months after, he was arrested again for aggravated sodomy in late December. Well, he was out on bail. When the news broke, many took to social media to express frustration that Talent was let out and therefore able to offend again.
Now again, the local news is very weird in how they gloss over the severity of the allegations that this person is facing, but you could see little hints of it if you're watching intently of people talking about kids. Again, what I told you about the charging document.
So unfortunately, we face some things after situations occur. But we do our best to keep them from reoccurring again. And so I think it takes a combined effort of the DA, of the sheriff, the chief law enforcement officer in the county, and the court system. It's kind of very easy to point the fingers, right? But I think the focus should be on the resolution and the prevention. Right. We won't say that this person or that group or that entity is responsible. We'll say that we just need to work more closer and more collectively together to prevent these reoccurrences from occurring.
Now, they interviewed the local sheriff, but to be 100% fair to this guy, they just had their election in 2024 for this position, and he was actually sworn in the day after they released this person. So he had nothing to do with it. So his vague statement is not only vague and pointless in that he doesn't really say much, but it's also vague and pointless because he had nothing to do with this, although it seems like he appears to be upset about this. Now, of course, this really comes down to the prosecutor in this particular area, who unfortunately was reelected, and despite the fact that she nearly lost to a Republican, she decided to take her underperforming Kamala Harris as a mandate to push for the criminal justice reforms that again had her in trouble going into the election cycle. And in this particular story, you will be shocked to find out.
Now, after Talent's last arrest, he was let out on bond after only 4 days, and he's still out on bond now. So we did reach out to the Chatham County District Attorney's Office as well about this case, and we've not yet received a response from them.
That she, of course, decided not to comment on it. Now, of course, Cook Jones has been a disaster since she took office in her first term, and her narrow election victory is honestly a tragedy for the people at Chatham County, but make no mistake about it, it was a decisive victory. She did, in fact, win, and honestly, I just have to blame the voters in this regard, because 53% of them did in fact vote for this woman, despite the fact that she has been sued for discrimination in her own office and is such a lazy, entitled brat. She didn't even bother to show up for her own deposition, and then she lied to the court to hide discovery in order to say that she was too busy to show up when she knew full well that she scheduled a trial, again, a rape trial, as a specific way to avoid appearing for her own civil case.
Thursday, a federal judge sanctioned Chatham County District Attorney Shalina Cook Jones. This was all the result of a workplace discrimination lawsuit filed back in 2022. In that lawsuit, a former assistant district attorney at the Chatham County DA's office, Skye Messing, claims she was denied a promotion because of her gender. She also claims she was retaliated against. She named Chatham County, the Prosecuting Attorneys Council of Georgia, and Cook Jones as defendants. Cook Jones was set to be deposed in the case, but there were several delays. It all came to a head in spring of 2023. According to this court document, Cook Jones agreed to appear for a deposition on April 11th, but shortly before that date, she got involved in a rape trial that officially began April 6th. A federal judge says during the pretrial conference on March 29th, Cook Jones did not mention to anyone that she had committed to being deposed in her own case April 11th. He says she also waited until the afternoon on April 10th to tell anyone in the rape trial case that she had to be deposed the next day. This document states she tried asking for her deposition to be delayed, but her request was denied. Regardless, she did not appear for her deposition April 11th since the rape trial was still ongoing. This document states Cook Jones also tried to explain she thought the rape trial would be over by the time of her deposition, but the federal judge says an email she sent April 10th made it clear she knew the case likely would not be over by the time of her deposition the following day. He wrote, quote, Cook Jones's failure to even mention her self-created conflict to this court or the Superior Court, despite so many opportunities to do so, leaves the court with the inescapable conclusion that she gave no regard whatsoever to her discovery responsibilities and this court's orders, end quote.
I don't think you guys understand that you really don't despise these left-wing prosecutors enough. Here we have a woman who doesn't prosecute anyone for anything, who releases repeat child predators back onto the streets again with ankle monitoring, but when she's in trouble, when she is to appear in court, that's when she decides to schedule a case that she knows specifically will extend as an excuse so that she doesn't actually have to appear for her civil case. This is the way that these people treat the law. Unsurprisingly, she was in a tough election fight, but of course, things get worse because I'm talking about a couple of cases right over here, but this does not necessarily show a pattern of behavior. But what does show a pattern of behavior is a larger sample size, something like 3,100 cases, which, by the way, was the subject of one of the main questions that she was asked during a debate that she had with her Republican opponent, who unfortunately did not win this last election. And I want you guys to think in your brain, if you had 3,100 cases at this person's office, how many of those 3,100 cases do you think actually got dismissed? Again, 3,100 cases. She's a prosecutor. She is meant to prosecute people. And you put in the comments of this particular video how many of those cases she just decided to dismiss out of hand.
3,100 cases on the backlog project that they did. 3,000 of them were dismissed. So that means only 100 of those cases were viable.
Even post-COVID with fewer resources, we've been able to start and establish diversion programs, community-based strategies like our Show Us Your Guns program, our mental health diversion, our mentors program.
Yeah, you guys heard that right. This woman doesn't prosecute. I think the percentage is something like 95%, maybe 97% of the cases that she should be able to prosecute. And she says, don't worry about it. That's no big deal. Honestly, just think about all the different various diversion programs that we sent these people to do. And that is basically a substitution for, a prosecution. I mean, you're worried about us not holding child predators, but think about how we diverted those child predators to ankle monitors right toward another victim, and we're going to do the same thing with that. But isn't that stellar? Isn't that wonderful? Isn't that progressive? Again, go to her page, go see how she talks about racial equity and how she talks about diversity as the chief concerns of the district attorney's office, and at least those diversion programs were diverse, I guess. I guess that's what we should be really thinking about for her district attorney's office. And I will remind you that she narrowly lost in comparison to her original margin of victory in 2024, but she said the fact that she still eked out a victory to her is a mandate that people want these reforms to continue. They want more and more people to be released. But in addition to that, this woman also has a terrible record in terms of policing. Now, there was a scandal in and around this area that I take wholly seriously, where 2 police officers were arrested for many a misconduct violation. And the fact of the matter is, at times, those misconduct violations can affect the outcome of the cases. However, our wonderful prosecutor right here decided that she was going to go above and beyond with the cases that were even slightly touched by these officers and dismissed the charges in those cases. And of course, this included 6 murder cases, 6 homicide investigations where the suspects were just let go. Murderers that probably did it, that you didn't necessarily need to destroy the whole case and destroy the whole case in such a way that maybe nobody could ever pick it up in the future ever, were done by this person because, oh my God, aren't police officers so bad?
Of words brewing in Savannah. This after Chatham County District Attorney Shalina Cook Jones dismissed 6 murder cases. All the cases dismissed were either investigated by former Savannah police officers Ashley Wood or Daryl Repress. Both are facing perjury charges. The DA says following their indictments, her office reviewed around 50 cases the officers touched. The DA's office described the dismissed cases as being tampered with, noting it's unlikely they'll be able to be reopened.
Now again, this woman is horrible in every possible way, but to be clear, a lot of blame goes to those 2 officers if the allegations against them are proven to be true, because the fact of the matter is they gave her an opportunity by betraying their oath, by doing the wrong thing, to dismiss these homicide cases, which even the mayor of this particular area was absolutely shocked by when he heard that his prosecutor decided to go in this direction.
I was surprised about it. I learned about it during the press conference. This was made by the district attorney. Our police department was not given the opportunity to ask questions. They were not given the opportunity to discuss what the factual points were in these cases. We have to have collaboration, and that didn't happen here. I'm disappointed because we have reached out to try to do that.
And honestly, the reason why I wanted to show you the different local officials in and around this area is because this is largely a Democratic area. These are people who largely run at least vaguely on police reform and all these different various things. But even the other Democrats in this particular area are shocked by how this woman performs time and time again. And of course, we have 4 more years of chaos incoming. And it all starts off, at least for me, the entry point in which I will be scrutinizing this district attorney's office with the case that we had in front of us, where a child predator, or an accused child predator, because he hasn't been convicted, was released over and over again with 4 days of jail time with an ankle monitor, despite the fact that if this person committed these crimes, you should have adequate evidence to at least know with some degree of certainty whether or not they should be held pre-trial. But you know what? We don't hold anybody pre-trial anymore, not when these district attorneys are around. They consistently defend the criminal from the prosecutor's office, and that has created chaos in our country. But you know what? Those are just my thoughts. I want to know what you guys think down in the comments below. As per usual, if you like the video, you can show them by leaving a like, subscribe to my channel, follow me on all my social medias, support my friend. Again, his GoFundMe for his parents is linked in the description. This has been me talking about the absolute chaos in Chatham, Georgia. Till next time.